We're here at the University of Arizona, an institution of higher education. An institution that my father, my tios, my grandparents paid for. You know, this used to be called the 4C state: cotton, copper, climate, and something else. Cattle. Copper was essential in Arizona. My father and uncles and everybody mined the copper. They made profits for all of these companies. And guess what they paid? Their labor, work paid for this institution. We've paid for it. Generations of our ancestors have paid for this institution. And this institution is supposed to be a crown jewel. And why the crown jewel? Because this institution should be standing with us for a basic fight for human rights, the most basic of rights being education, being non-discrimination, standing up, being the first in line to stand for our community. That's where the University of Arizona should be. Standing in the front, not on the side, not behind us. They should be in the front, fighting for all of our rights. For all of the workers who continue to contribute their taxes into this institution. Who continue to fight for our children. We know really well that the right has been looking at the demographics for the last 4 decades at least. What have they found? They have found that the entering classes are children of color. Is it any shock that public education is on the chopping block right now? Is it any shock that these right-wing extremists in Phoenix are going after public education, K through 12? Even though the Supreme Court established clearly that undocumented children are entitled to free public education, they don't care. Arizona is that incubator. Yesterday, this right-wing Supreme Court gave indication that they're going to uphold the employer sanctions law. We heard the discussion on the 9th Circuit. They didn't have a problem with our being asked for our immigration status whenever we're stopped for a ticket if they have, quote, reasonable suspicion, end quote. We know where we're going. Is it any surprise that the elements that we used, the forums we used, my parents used, in order to get me here at this university are all being attacked? Back then, when you weren't born, there were struggles too. In '68 and the '60s, students like you were revolting around the world. All across this world, the young people were demanding justice. And what happened in those times? The revolts, the demands for justice were huge. And what concessions were given to us? Yes, we had affirmative action so I could get my foot in the door. And I came to this university and had degrees not because of this bootstrap theory, but because we were given an opportunity. And now they're changing the rules again. The people in power change the rules as soon as we comply with those rules. So what happened in the 60s? Public education was on the rise. California's public education system was a model. We were in the rise. A child of a migrant like me, an immigrant, was able to come to the university and get degrees. Do you think they want you to have degrees? Do you think they want the dreamers to have degrees? No, even though that was the rule. So education was an equalizer. We fought in the courts and got concessions. And what happened there? They now own the courts. They've cut public education to the max. They continue to want to cut it here. They're cutting it down, the equalizer. What did they do with the courts? They put right-wing people in the courts. It's not a Warren court. It is now a Roberts court. What other things?